All right, so I am here with Skeet Ulrich, good friend of mine. 15 years in the making of knowing you and loving you and being part of your family. Um, Skeet and I met on an NBC pilot about 15 years ago and clicked.
Yeah.
You kind of inspired me when it came to woodworking. You inspired me when it came to family. You inspired me when it came to core values. I love you, man, and thank you for sitting down
I
with
love
me.
you too. Honestly, that is an honor to hear you say those words because I feel exactly the same way. You've inspired me in so many things. And, you were really the lead of that show when I joined it, the pilot we did together and welcomed me with arms I could not have expected and have never let up. And you're a beautiful man.
Thank you so much, man. So, a Skeet in holding some of our core values together. We're teaming up and we're doing this Movember campaign
Yeah,
to raise awareness for men's mental health. Something that is incredibly important to me, and important to you,
absolutely.
and just kind of an easy conversation to have when I think you put the work into it. As we don't come from, we can talk about generational gaps,
Yeah.
but the freedom of information that we have nowadays when it comes to access with the internet and self-help and books and kind of the freedom to have those conversations as opposed to 30, 40 years ago is very different.
Yeah, very different. And I mean, I think that's a great place to start and sort of, I really was not aware of, I mean, I don't even think it was a topic in my, early life, men's mental health. There were,
Yeah,
first of all, I didn't really have a dad around. Well, not really. I didn't have a dad around. I had my brother who was 10 months older and being raised in the South where a lot of that stuff to this day is not even discussed. There's a very strong jawed mentality about, you just fight the fight and you shut up about it. And so, it wasn't until my early 20s when I went to NYU and an acting, teacher in Clark Gregg actually in that class said, just about acting, if you want confidence, get a therapist. And I thought, oh, well, I really want confidence. So I'll go get a therapist. And man, it was life changing. Beyond acting, it was life changing. Like all the things that I had held inside for so long, this release valve, that happened. So from that moment forward, and that was early 90s, I have been a big proponent of people have hopefully having that chance to release a little bit and to see how human we all are and to really allow men to discuss these things as we should be able to do.
how human we all are. I love
Yeah.
how you say that. Like that, I'm gonna quote that. How human we all are, because like you're really just breaking it down to the nuts and bolts of it, right? Like we're all made up of the same components.
Yeah, yeah. And we
And
all struggle, we all succeed, we all fail, we all fall.
of
And
course,
we all need. I remember hearing at one point that the biggest tragedy in life would be not having one person that fully knows you, that knows everything about you. And I think that speaks to not love so much as just, the ability to let yourself go. And it takes a lot to get to that point to be able to do that. And I think when we bottle things up and hide things and that it's easy to get ourselves into a state of disrepair mentally.
sure.
And so I think it's great what you're doing. I think more people should be aware of and more people should feel free to say, hey, I go to a therapist. Doesn't mean I'm in a bad way. It means the opposite. It means I take it seriously and it's important to me and it becomes important to those around you. And you become an inspiration to a lot of people without knowing it necessarily. And you may unleash some things in other people that can prevent some really catastrophic things from holding back our feelings. So
No doubt about that. Now, I think in therapy, there's this kind of really cool aspect of um, it takes courage to be vulnerable, and that's something
Yeah.
that I didn't grow up fully understanding until I was in my 30s. Was, I always felt that the courage was bottling it up and pretending it wasn't there. The courage was being slapped in the face and turning around and being like, I'm ready for another one. And,
Yeah.
and and in fact, it took me so long to remember and realize that it really was the courage to go, I'm not okay, or I'm not hurt, or I am hurt. The courageous thing was always to fall off the horse and admit that it might have hurt you and affected you in a certain way, and then to go back and live again and live that life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so
Absolutely.
so we've talked about a little bit about definitely the generational gap.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I think I'd mentioned therapy to my folks at one point, and my mom would say, "There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need therapy. Simple as
Yeah.
that." And that was the end of the conversation. When you're 14, you go, "Oh, okay. Let's go, move on."
Yeah.
So let's jump into why this topic is important to you in particular.
Yeah.
Whether there may be things in your life that have affected you, or, as we mentioned briefly, like, I'm a new father. Your kids are now in their 20s, which is wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is exploring men's mental health, um, trying to make the conversation easier to attain,
Yeah.
and kind of
Yeah.
pull away from the negative stigma of men's mental health important to you?
Well, to me, I found it to be a lifesaver in my own life. I had a lot of really negative things happen to me as a child, which, I won't elaborate too deeply on here, but
Mhm.
a lot of things that were bottled up and held back and weren't really wanted to be brought out into the light from numerous people in my life. And it leads to, a lot of times the the definition of depression is anger turned against the self. And so when you take all that anger and you don't have an outlet for it and a safe place to let it out, it tends to eat you up inside. And that causes you to think a lot of negative things about yourself when really it's caused from other things. And so I found it really important to have somebody that I can vent to in a safe place. And as men, we are known to typically have more anger than those around us. And I think for me now, having gone through a lot of therapy, it helped really calm the storm a lot, and gave me perspective on and an outlet. And now that I have a son, I want the same for him. I want him to have a place that he can sort of feel free to let that stuff out so that it doesn't come out in a way that winds up hurting him in real life. Not that therapy is real life, but in outside of a therapeutic venue. Um, so it's now as a father, like it becomes of utmost importance that your kids are happy, and it's all you.
Sure.
And so for me, having the perspective I now have, I know that a key to happiness is therapy. And it's simple as that. Like I think just having somebody to go talk to, and it's not going to be me as close as I am with my kids. There are things for sure about me that they need to vent that they're not going to do to me.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm all for, and I have enough security to say, hey, go do it. Go say those things you need to say, and let it out.
Hmm.
And anyway, I think that's for me the reason why I feel it's so important in terms of how to pass that to people that are watching this to make a step towards taking their own mental health seriously. It's a hard thing. Everybody comes from different walks of life. Everybody has different amounts of busyness. Everybody has different financial abilities, so it's a hard thing to necessarily say there, go do this and expect somebody to jump to it. But I can tell you, if you take the time, if there are programs available that make it monetarily feasible, for sure,
Hmm.
but take the time and use whatever resources you can to utilize therapies and take your mental health seriously, and the rewards are more than you will ever imagine. Um, I don't want to narrow men's mental health down to just therapy, though. There are definitely, we have ways to other than therapy to, I mean, I meditate twice a day.
There you
Uh,
go.
that helps a lot.
Hmm.
I think our hobbies, those things we really enjoy, not everybody like you and I gets to do something they love so much,
Right,
and
right. But you find time to woodwork, right?
I do, yeah. I find time to build all the time, golf,
Hmm.
garden,
Hmm.
hang with friends, all those
Sure.
those things I think are a big component towards staying sane. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I don't want to make it all in a therapeutic sense, but I
No,
do.
but therapy is huge, man. I mean, I discovered therapy when I was 25 and have never looked back. Even
Yeah,
when I was going through, hard times, therapy helped me through. And then even when the world didn't feel so heavy, I would still go to therapy just to have an outlet, just to talk about the bills, just to talk about the red lights that you hit on the way to work, just to talk about the little things that kind of pile up.
yeah,
Um, just just a bitch sometimes.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
you can only do that so often with your loved ones. And
yeah,
it's not fair all the time, but just to be able to
yeah,
have a third party to be able to unload on every once in a while. Um,
yeah,
I loved having that.
yeah, same.
Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, outside of the hobbies and everything else, this is important for our children. I've got a 9-week-old little girl now, which you get to grow up being Uncle Skeet. um
Yeah.
we're doing something good here, and you've worked nonstop. I think everybody knows your name, from Scream to The Craft to you know Riverdale to and Parish now, on AMC, which is airing currently, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Parrish is on AMC now.
Hmm.
Turns out it's going to be a limited series, but again, I mean, we had a blast making it, and that's all that really mattered to me was, the day to day of it. Yeah, it would have
Of
been great to
course.
continue forward, but anyway, yeah, that's on AMC now, and there's some other things I'm currently working on that.
Yeah, you work nonstop, man.
Yeah, I try to stay busy. I mean, when you love something, you love something, and I think that's like, for me, just been such a blessing. And, we're fortunate to work in a business where the accessibility of our emotions is important. And, I am very thankful for, not to harp on it again, but the therapies that I've had that made that
Hmm.
available to me, that I know my triggers and how to use them. And
Sure.
yeah, so you know how it is.
I
Yeah.
do. I do. Every once in a while, I have a scene on set, and I'll throw a garbage can through the wall, or cry, or whatever it might be. But we are blessed to work in an industry where sometimes flexing our vulnerable muscles is actually therapeutic.
Yeah.
Because I can
Yeah.
come home after unloading on somebody on set. We call it acting, but when you really work, and flex, our emotional states, in as much truth as we can, we are truly, kind of unveiling, and taking off some of that weight and that emotion and allowing it to be in a character. So we are lucky.
Yeah, we are very lucky. Very lucky.
Um, so,
But
dude,
yeah,
thank you so much for chatting today.
yeah, thank you, man. I love what you're doing. You're obviously a hero of mine, so I will always support you. But
You
I
too,
think it's
man.
amazing what you're doing, and You have Movember for a lot longer than November, though.
I got Movember, and I've
Mo Tender and Mo Annuary and Mo
yep.
February and
Yeah, absolutely. And Skeet, we're gonna set you up with a Movember page. People can donate to your cause through your page,
okay.
which will work under our umbrella, going towards our overall goal. And we'll look out for some great prizes that every donation will be, we'll have their names thrown in a hat for, from signed scripts to posters to merchandise, including a grand prize of, I believe, a private tour of the Paramount lot with, lunch and stuff as well with some of the actors. So it's gonna be cool. You're welcome anytime, man.
Awesome, brother. Thanks for doing this, and
All right.
thanks for what you stand for. I love you.
100%. Thanks, Keith.
Bye.
Bye.